I just don't win, people. Like, I'm serious. You've been watching these videos. I have been outside like every day. Like I'm serious. I've been through a steamroller. Okay? All I managed to get done today was the side of the house, pretty much. 2 days, like yesterday and the day before, I was in the front laying bricks. Okay? It's like been non-stop, right? With that whip on my back. And, you know, I go out to the garbage can to put some stuff in the garbage can in the back. And what do I see on the ground? I see a pot. Like a cooking pot, right? And I'm like, where did this pot come from? Oh, can't leave this stuff out where the city's gonna see it. Because I'm all paranoid now. Andre, don't throw it. Put your toys away. Andre, don't bring out too many. Andre, you can't play with your toys. City doesn't like toys in the yard. You're not allowed to have toys, Andre. The city doesn't like kids. I swear, they don't like kids, Andre. Put your toys away, Andre. Don't bring out your toys. You're not allowed to have toys, Andre. Well, it's the same thing with the freaking pot up by the bloody garbage can. Like I said before, you know, I'd go outside, there'd be bags of garbage, raccoons ripped apart, right? Because the kids were too fucking lazy to take their fucking garbage to the stupid garbage can. You know, they just throw it into the pile, right? I go cleaning out the pile and months later to find freaking garbage in there. So anyway, this pot's sitting there by this garbage can, right? And I'm like, whose pot is it? Where did this pot come from? Oh my God, you know, can't have a pot by... I was all paranoid, right, people? Fuck, man, you know? It's my pot, my son says. I said, well, what's the pot doing here by the fucking garbage cans? Oh, I did, you know, composting. What are you getting all bent out of shape for? It's just a pot. I said, yeah, well, that's the pot that's going to get me into trouble. Oh, no, you're the problem. You're the one that needs to take ownership over the yard. It's all you. You know, you take responsibility. Fuck, people. I've taken so much responsibility for this yard that it's killing me. Okay, like literally, I don't have a life. I have not had a life for a long, long time. So anyway, I am so oversensitive. So as I was thinking, I want to keep this short because it's going to be probably a long video, right? You know, City of Delta provides annual spring cleanup for a duration of a week every year for its constituency. Langley and Tawasin provide annual spring cleanup for its constituency every year. And so on, and so on, and so on for other districts. Surrey, on the other hand, does not. What Surrey likes to do is follow its constituency around, watch what they bring into their yards, and as soon as they notice stuff coming into the yard, they target the resident. And so they superimpose themselves into your yard with hefty fines because they stalk you at Home Depot or wherever. They see you coming in from Delta Spring Cleanup with compost boxes and toys. And you put them in your yard, and within 2 or 3 weeks they show up and they start threatening to fine you for all these things as they go from point A, then they go to point B, then they go to point C, before they've gone through your whole fucking yard. And they tell you to get rid of shit, but they don't provide any annual spring cleanup. They don't like toys. pretty fucking apparent. They give you 4 large item pickups a year. And even then, those items are narrowed down to certain things. 4. That's it. So, in essence, they treat their residents kind of pretty crappy, right? They don't, like I said, they don't provide no annual spring cleanup. And not only that, but they drive around targeting their residents as people are bringing stuff home. And if you don't have $10,000 to pay for a crew to come in and build something right away, unlike me, where things have to be built over a period of years, depending on how long it takes to get the material for free, or if I can afford to buy it, or if I can afford to pay men to do the jobs that I can't do, or if I have the time to do it considering how big this yard is. So, you know, I'm an easy target because I don't have 10 grand, 5 grand, or whatever it is to have a crew come in and then do it in 4 days. That's pretty much what it boils down to. And because I can't do it fast enough and give instant satisfaction, right, for whoever is not, you know how they say idle hands is the devil's workshop. Well, have you seen my hands, people? Like, literally, have you seen my hands? My hands are not idle. There's nothing idle about my hands. So we know my hands are not the devil workshop. People are being conditioned to accept less and to accept being bullied under Agenda 21 or Agenda 30, where they're going to be reduced down to 400 square foot cubicles and call that quality living. Well, the elite and the well-to-do in our community will live in their houses under that class system, right? With the whip on the back of those below them. Now, that's kind of standard throughout history, because in Britain, the rich people lived at the top and threw their shit out the window. And it went into the alley and the people below them, because they didn't have toilets in those days. So they would take their body fluids and just throw it out the window. But because they were at the top, of course it never flew into their windows below or wherever it splattered. And somehow that made them better. Well, it's the same kind of system that we have today. Right. So, anyway, with all this effort, it's starting to look like I'm rich. At the end of the night, I'm looking around and I'm like, oh, so this is what it looks like to be rich, because this is what the city of Surrey is trying to do. It's just trying to make it look like it's a rich neighborhood, when in fact it's not a rich neighborhood, people. There's nothing rich about it. It's a very dysfunctional freaking fucking neighborhood. Right? You know? You got your soul patrol cruising the streets, watching what people are bringing home, getting ready for their next attack, basically. Right? That's how they provide their spring cleanup. With a notice of $15,000 to do something with that, and do something with that, and do something with that, and do something with that. As if they would go out there and do it for themselves, because they don't have to. They can just use city funds, right? They just have their crew come in and do it for you, so they can wipe everything out and make the neighborhood look rich to justify that tax base. So yeah, the city of Surrey hates toys. And if they hate toys, then you know they don't like kids. And they don't, people, because when I used to live at Gateway Place and work with the kids out there, regardless of their color, didn't matter if they were white children, children from Honduras or children from Africa. They're all children. They're all poor children. And the city of Surrey didn't give a rat's ass about those poor children. So I'm not surprised that they don't give a rat's ass about children living in houses with their toys, because they don't want the toys out anywhere in the yard. They don't want them in the back. They don't want them in the front. They don't want them on the grass. They don't want them anywhere. And if they don't want that, if they don't want children's toys around, I see a little car on the grass, I get into panic mode. Because the city's going to drive by, see that little toy on the grass, and that's just going to be an invitation for them to come and start fucking harassing you. Basically. Right? I see a pot up by the garbage can, I go into panic mode, people, because that's just an invitation for the city to come and start harassing you. And then it becomes my fault. It becomes my fault. That's what my kids, it's all you. You're the problem with the yard. Fuck, people. I should have just let the weeds grow. Serious. I should have just let the fucking weeds grow. Like, I should never have done anything. You see, that's what happens. That's what happens when you do something. When you try and do something positive. When you actually accomplish something. That's what happens. Even your own kids will try and tear you down over it. Right? Like I said, idle hands is the devil's workshop. Anybody can fucking talk smack. Right? I have been putting in anywhere between 8 to 11 hours a day since this shit started. Okay? As if I wasn't out there already. Right? I have no time to do laundry. No time to cook. Really no time. I was supposed to do dishes today, but I just went straight outside, right? You know, I don't have a life, people. I live my life for the fucking city of Surrey and for my landlords, right? So that the neighborhood can look rich, basically. Okay, so it's what, August 12th, 2017. You can see I cleared a path in here. What's going to happen is that's going to be leveled off. A step is going to be built with bricks. So you get a step and then it's going to get leveled off. And then you're going to get a pathway to the water pump, the water tap. Right? So you're not walking on mud, people. Right? And grit and sand. And when this stuff gets wet, it's disgusting. It sticks to the bottom of your feet. So you want a straight up path. Right? Pretty much started that, you can see. So that's all getting done. Right? Now I can't work on this today. I have to go in the back. Technically, I should be doing my dishes. So hold on. Okay, so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to try and make that blackberry jam because those berries need to be cooked up. I have to, people. And the food is just growing and just going to waste. Serious. But besides that point, as you can see, this tarp is no longer viable. Right? So I'm going to clear this off. I'm going to take off the green one. Right? For now. And then I'm going to lay down this plastic. It's an old slippy slide. And wash it. Just rinse it off quick. And lay it down. I found my staple gun. I'm going to staple it down. And then I'm going to take that brown tarp down there. And I'm just going to lay it over that for now. And anything I've done so far for roofing on this just doesn't work. And even if I do get it covered, it still leaks from that post. Really, really bad. But we're not worrying about the post right now. And then I'm just going to come up here and I'm just going to continue sorting it out. I'm not going to really wash anything, people, because I'm really tired and worn out. I'm just going to put it into piles and figure out what needs to be washed. Well, I know what needs to be washed. Like this mat there, this little brown mat. It's good for, like, if you go to if I do anything outside with the kids in a park event or something, it just needs to be sprayed down with a little bit of bleach and water and air dried, folded up and then bagged up And then if and when, if I ever have time, people, to go to Chuck Daly Park or do anything with the kids, well, that's what I would bring, right? I have a few of those, so this is one too. This is something I bring to the, so I have to wash this as well. Right. Anyway, I don't know, I'm pretty worn out, people. Hold on. Okay, so I'm just gonna brush it off. I'm gonna take off the green one. As you can see, it's fraying anyway. I'm gonna lay this down. I'm gonna give it a quick staple, and then I'm gonna put this brown tarp that I have over it. It's not gonna solve the leaking problem from the post, but it will solve this problem for now. It will last about 6 months with the tarp. And then, since I'm doing roofs, I'm gonna get up there because Jerry left his ladder behind, so I have a ladder. So I'm gonna get up there and I'm gonna fix this one because, again, I have my stapler now, right? So we'll finish that part anyway, because it's supposed to start raining tomorrow, people. So I have to do this anyway, right? And see, right?
No, today is today.
And then these brackets, what do you call those things? Badminton brackets and stuff, like rackets or whatever they're called. Gonna get them, and they're gonna go in Andre's shed. Stuff like this, right? I mean, again, leaky sheds, people. This is all. It was all in the shed, and it just got rained on and leaked on, and like you just can't imagine what it's like for me, right? When you put things away and you pull them out, and things were leaking and just whatever. Right? But besides that point, so we're gonna focus on that for sure, and focus on this for sure, and move things around. Okay, people. I'm serious. We need to do something about these raccoons. Look at this. This is the babies. They're destroying. It's obvious they've decided to use this little lettuce patch here as a latrine. This is why I fence everything up, people, when I can. And look what they're doing. So I have to take out the potatoes, people. Otherwise, I'm growing them for nothing, right? Because the raccoons are just destroying it. Now, the mother is living in my woodshed over there with the 3 babies. That I know for sure. I don't know how many are exactly in that place. Look at this cucumber, people. Look how long it is. I got more from the front. Look at this. Look at this, people. Look at this. I think raccoons eat zucchinis too, because in the front it's just been trashed. So I'm like pretty fucking choked. Look at this, people. I told you things are going to waste. This stuff is ready to be picked, right? Like serious. There's like masses of amounts in there. Look at that cucumber in there. Oh my God, people. I have to do this, okay? Get it in the fridge. Try and can some of it. Tomatoes are coming. Like, I planted food for nothing. Seriously, with the city riding my ass here, right? Having to wash things that were already washed, right? Put things away before I'm ready to put them away because I have to fix the shed. Hold on a minute. Yeah. Okay. Somebody just dropped off some baby stuff for my daughter who's having a baby within a month, people. And like the city of Surrey, I'm not getting anything done with Uncle John's paperwork. Obviously, you can see my garden is being trashed and the food is starting to go to waste because I don't have time to process it in between the other things that I do in a day, right? No nonprofit paperwork is getting done. Absolutely none, right? And I'm not able to clear out the basement and do what I need on the inside because I guess she's not moving out. It doesn't look like she's moving out. So, you know, now that I bought that bed and everything, thinking that she might be moving out, I have to clear it out. I got to rearrange the basement. You know, I'm like, well, what the fuck, right? You know, I guess City of Surrey doesn't, you know, age appropriate. Well, there's a baby coming, you know, like these little chairs here, like I said, I used to take them to the park event. I have to bleach those down, right? So the kids can play when they're playing out here with them. I haven't done that yet. It's sitting right there. So what, is the city going to roll up and say, what is this? Well, first of all, this is chairs from the park event that need to be washed so that the little kids can, when they're playing, you can see there's some chairs in there, right? And then some of this wood here is still for, you know, doing whatever. There's things that need to still be done on this, but I don't have time for that, right? Right now, currently, what I'm looking for, people, is a roll of, tar paper that my neighbor from next door gave to me, which is perfect for what I need right now, right? Because it's a little old and stuff like that. This is the one that I bought for the Andre's shed. But this is, I don't want to use this until we get to Andre's shed, right? Now, mind you, no, I have this other one around. I'm looking for my pitchfork. My pitchfork is missing. I can't find my pitchfork. And I'm looking for this other roll of tar paper for what I'm working on right now. Hold on. Okay, it's not a lot, right? It's a little beat up. But for what I'm going to use it for, people, it's perfectly fine, right? In terms of on top of there, then the plastic, then the tarp. And we know it's still going to leak from the inside. It's leaking, it leaks in the back of the seams where that thing is, and then it just kind of travels down and it gets everything wet. So before the rains come, I kind of have to move at least everything from here. And if you notice, I moved everything away from the wall because it just goes down the wall, right? So at some point, I'm going to rearrange it in here to protect it from the rain as it's leaking from the outside over there, because I don't know what else to do unless my neighbor can, you know, he's thrifty with what he's doing in terms of this this post. I'm not even going to try and touch that one on my own. Hold on. Okay, people. This is all I could find. I can't find my other pitchfork. And sometimes things just go missing, right? Because, you know, we got that creeper in the yard, right? So anyway, you can't imagine how I'm feeling right now, people. Rushing to dig out onions. Feeling fucking guilty again as all hell for wanting to feed my family food that's not sprayed on with all this crap that makes it go dormant for a half a year, right? You know what I mean? And, you know, I should be throwing out stuff, right, people? If you notice, it's a real fucking crime growing your own food, or like chickens. You know, it's illegal to have fucking chickens, even though there's chickens all over the freaking province, and there's probably like 50,000 people across the city of Surrey and White Rock and all those places that have chickens in their backyard. That chicken that from Chuck Bailey's, that kid still has his chicken. How come we don't have Mr. Lace, people? How come that kid got to keep his rooster, but we didn't get to keep our rooster? Isn't that interesting? Right? So, you know, to say that there are no chickens, that's a bunch of crock, right? So, you know, you can't have fresh eggs. You can't give your kids, your grandchild, whatever, fresh eggs. You know, you try and plant a fucking garden because you have no money, right? And you want to, you know, provide healthier food to your kids only because you have the ground to do it, because, you know, you work for it. And then when it comes time to, you know, can it, dehydrate it, or whatever it is, wash it, put it away, like those potatoes. I'm digging up potatoes early because of the raccoons. These potatoes technically should be staying in the ground for another month, but I've been going around the yard digging them up because the raccoons are destroying everything, right? CD doesn't do a damn thing about fucking raccoons, right? Not a damn fucking thing. It's almost like they want them to be running around in your yard destroying everything because they don't want you growing your own food. They don't. You grow your own food, it takes away from buying in the grocery store, people. That's what it is, right? They don't want you to know that the rooster is a good pet, right? A therapy bird, right? Because if you get a rooster, chances are you're going to want some chickens. And once you start bringing in chickens, you don't need to be running to the grocery store and buying fucking eggs that have been sitting in the carton for 2 months, right? You get them fresh every day, right? So they make sure you can't have that, right? Just like they're making sure I can't have a fucking garden now that it's been planted and everything is growing. Like, what kind of bullshit is that? They do nothing about these raccoons that carry disease shit everywhere, right? Overpopulate, right? They try to say that it's protected by the federal law, but yet Canadian Tire is selling cages to catch the bloody things with no what is it called? No checks or balances, right? You know, I went and knocked on the door where that raccoon was in a cage, And I said, make sure you check to make sure it's not a mother, right? Make sure it has no tits, because if it has tits, that means the babies are running around, and the babies can't survive without the mom. In the meantime, the cage is on the ground with this spray bottle right next to it, and all I could think about is, oh, God forbid, if those people were spraying some kind of poison in that raccoon's eye before they took it to Home Depot, which is like a 5-minute drive from here, just down the hill, to release it. I'm like, what the fuck? How many raccoons can you release up by Home Depot? Because they're like everywhere, right? And who's to say these people aren't torturing these poor things? And they're completely dependent on humans. They depend on us for water. They depend on us to clean up after them. They depend on us for food. They depend on us for shelter. But we're very, very negligent to them, right? Right? You know, you can see what they've done. They destroy things, not by purpose. It's just by nature, right? So I'm like, okay, we know that next year they're going to want a nest. Some mother is going to want a nest. She's either going to try and bust back into the X Club, or she's going to bust back into the shed, or maybe she'll bust into Andre's shed. So I'm thinking, well, maybe I should be thinking about building a nesting box. Like, serious. Serious. So, like, I'm talking to this board director, and I'm saying, look, you know, you really need to put the call out to start a subsidy program for minor home repairs in terms of porches and sheds and that type of thing, right? Not because, you know, we're trying to make it so that the, what do you call it? The homeowners of these places get freebies. Because it's not about fucking freebies, people. It's about helping people. It's about helping each other. Okay? Just because people may have money, so-called money, invested in property, doesn't necessarily mean that they have money for house repairs. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they wouldn't qualify for some, you know, subsidy program to, okay, you get $5,000, you know, what do you need done? Oh, you need the roof done, like the porch shed, right? Like not the roof on the house itself, but like the porch, right? Like these sheds, right? Have a crew come in, you know, have it done in 1 or 2 days, right? With people that know what the fuck they're doing, with the right kind of materials. What is so wrong with that? Absolutely nothing. Right? If we have a raccoon problem from house to house to house to house, well, then we need to sit down and figure out what the fuck we're going to do about it. So as we're working on that subsidy program, maybe we can talk about a raccoon program, because this isn't fair, people. I mean, it's enough that I'm having to cope with raccoons destroying my garden, right? Okay? It's enough that they're living in my sheds and in my wood piles, and they're running around my yard, and, you know, the babies are here, and, you know, and they depend on water and all this other, feed them dog food just hoping that they won't fucking destroy everything. Because whether I feed them dog food or not, they're still here. They're not going away, right? That's the thing. They're not going away. They're not being spayed or neutered, right? What's going to happen when there's a rabies outbreak? Huh? What's going to happen then? What's the city of Surrey going to say? Well, we didn't know. That's federal protection. Well, if they're so protected, why are random people catching them in cages that they're buying from Canadian Tire with poisonous substances right next to them in a spray bottle? God knows what's happening to them before they release them. There is no checks or balances as to where they're being released and what's happening to them after they're being released. So I'm digging up my onions early, right? Because I took away the fence this year. I didn't put a fence up in here. I get tired of looking at fences all the time around my food. But it's pretty apparent that that's what I have to do, right? They only eat certain things. I think they like zucchinis. They like potatoes. They like to trample in onion piles. I know that they decimated my garlic. They killed off my garlic. Ate it all. All right. I'm surprised they're not going after these cucumbers yet. All right. So anyway, I'll be back. Look at that, people. Look how much blood is dripping from that. Do you see? This is what rushing gets you. Thank you very much, City of fucking Surrey, man. That was quite the little cut, people. I tried to band-aid up. I don't know. But that was just, like, dripping. That's crazy. Anyway, as you can see, the tomatoes, right? So I'm going to get up in here, and I'm just going to get all this food that's growing. I mean, obviously, I want to can, people. Like, that was kind of some of this purpose, right? You know, like look, hold on a minute. I'll show you. Okay, people. So, who does this kind of stuff? And I'm mad rushing around, gathering up this food. One, before it either it gets bitter because it gets too old, right? Like these beans, you know, if they get too big, or whatever, you know, they become seed beans, but they're not good to eat, right? Because they get, you know, it's like anything when it gets old, right? And I'm digging up the potatoes. I've been digging up the potatoes, people, because of these fucking raccoons, right? And now that the babies are out, it's even worse, right? And, you know, feeling guilty as all hell because I'm not working in the yard under slave labor rules and regulations to meet the city's expectations of what is the epitome of what is right in the city of this fucking Surrey, right? In terms of, it's a rich neighborhood, people. So, you know, do anything to force the poor people out. And do anything to criminalize them. Do anything to starve them out. You know, harass them. Threaten them. You know? Make them work twice as hard for nothing. You know? Destroy their food. Take their food away from them. Like my eggs. And now it's my garden. Right? Because the more I do this, the less time I have to pick through this stuff. But, you know, I've already been spending days and 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 days in this yard. You know, basically neglecting the garden now, right? But as I neglect the garden, you know, you see what's happening. The raccoons are destroying it. If they're not destroying it, they're eating it, right? I think they like zucchini because some of my zucchini is just not there anymore. Why? Why is zucchini not there? Where's my pitchfork? Huh? Right? You know, digging out potatoes before they're even ready to come out of the ground, just so that you have a few that don't have these pesticides sprayed on them, right? You know? So I told my son, get me a bowl. I don't know how far there's not that many potatoes. It was too soon to pull them out of the ground. But you seen what the raccoons were doing. So, if I would have left them in the ground for another week or two, there'd be nothing left. There'd be two left, that's right. Because I was having that problem last year. If it's not raccoons, it's people. Serious. Right? Because it's not all just raccoons. Okay. There's hardly anything in here. For what it was worth, because these things weren't ready to come out of the ground yet, that's why. Now they're just going to move on to the next potato patch. Hold on. Just hold on. Okay, people. So it doesn't seem like very much for the amount of work that I do. Seriously. But that's in part because I get raided, right? Whether it's raccoons. I've already harvested some potatoes like 2 weeks ago just because the raccoons were getting into them. As you can see, they weren't even done growing, right? Zucchini, my son really likes that zucchini relish. I told you when I was making it, it tasted and smelled really good. The question is, who has time to go in there and make zucchini relish after you've been outside anywhere from 8 to 12 hours a day consecutively, pretty much, right? Having panic attack, anxiety attacks, right? You're rushing and, you know, you're under the hot sun sweating. Like, this is worse than slave labor with, like, mounting threats of fines and, like, who does this guy think he is? Like, seriously, he's using the city as his personal military SWAT team. That's basically what he's doing, right? I mean, how do we know this guy doesn't have a mental illness? How do we know that this guy isn't somehow connected to Eleanor, right? John's loving nurse sister. How do we know that this guy isn't somehow connected to somebody in Fraser Health Authority? How do we know that this guy isn't connected to somebody in fucking family, through the city of Surrey? Because, a lot of these workers are all family members to a family member to a family member. Like I said, there was like seven people in John's family that I'm aware of that all worked for the provincial government in one way or another. That's why they go after those superannuations when they start dying off, because everybody knows they got one. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse these off, right? Put them away. Those I have already a few away, but there's not that many, right? Because, I got the raccoons raiding me. I've got the potato thief that raids me. I've got somebody running around putting poison in my dirt in terms of that celery that never grew all summer long, but yet the zucchini grew. Now, why is that? Why is it that the zucchini grew, but that one little patch of celery just didn't move, people? It's because somebody's putting something in the ground. Somebody's just like, how do we know this guy isn't part of that stalking crew? Because, like seriously, this is ridiculous. If they want nothing in your yard, just so that they can promote whatever it is that they're promoting in terms of their vision, right? And how great Surrey is to make investments when you can't even grow your own food, as the forests in the Kootenays are burning up, right? And the apple trees are burning up, and the cherry trees are burning up. Everything's burning up, and what the fuck, right? So anyway, I have to make some pickles. I can't afford $4.50 a jar, so I gotta find some time to make pickles. Who knows when that's gonna happen? So now that I've done this, I'm just gonna get on with the roofing, right? Hold on. Oh God, that's too low. Okay, people. Anyway, here's the thing. I don't need to go into the details in terms of why I collected wood and building material over the years, in terms of covering up weeds and that type of stuff, right? I've actually accomplished a lot in the last 7 years since I've lived here, if you look at it for what it really is. Working on a functioning greenhouse. Have a seedling room, aka hen house. Mr. Lace's cat house. Right, I want my rooster back, city of Surrey. He wants to come home. And I have sheds. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 that I can think of, and this one could be 5, Mr. Lace's cat house. It's because it's kind of being used as a shed right now for trims. Whether it's still repairing the windows, like having to seal the windows on the greenhouse, which I still have to do. Up in the rafters, I still have to do those with 2x2s. And just other things I want to do. Also, Andre's walnut art, right? Which we'll be getting into after all this repairs and building is done. A lot of my materials came free from Home Depot. Thank you very much, Home Depot. Over the years, couldn't have done it without you. Right? Some of it came from neighbors, whether they gave it to me or whether I found it on a curbside. Some of it came from fields, because illegal dumping or, houses being torn down. Whatever. Obviously, I paid for some. And, so, being that it's going to rain over the winter, there's still some things that haven't been done for whatever reason in terms of the gutter repair. I mean, it's hard to find somebody for me, right? It's not that my landlady won't pay for that, but, I have to find the person, and for little things like that, it's kind of difficult, right? I thought Rick was going to do it, but Rick disappeared, so whatever. The porch needs to be fixed, that type of thing. So, to cut to the chase, because I do believe, it's like I'm drinking beer, right? Having a swig. I do believe in the board director that is getting more involved. Let's just say it like that, right? I believe in his capabilities to rattle some closets and shake out some change. And the change I'm looking for is $100,000. I'm gonna. He wants the minutes, so I'm gonna try over the course of the week to type out the minutes. I don't know if I can print them out, but I can put them on a flash. I can find a flash drive and print them out, and type them out, and then put them on a flash drive and give him the flash drive, and then he can print them out, right? Because I just don't have a printer right now. And while I'm doing that, I am going to type out quickly. A proposal to organize a fundraiser for $100,000. I'm going to do the math here. We're going to do the math real fast. Okay. And that is for because we can't wait for the government to do it for us. We can ask the government to participate and to maybe match our donations, right, in terms of subsidies for we'll just call them minor house repairs, right? Porches, sheds, maybe a little bit of landscaping, gutters, just basic little things that, can accumulate over a period of time in terms of cost as the taxes are going higher and higher and higher every 6 months. Every 4 months, 3 times a year. Every time a house sells, and it sells for a little more each time it sells, and if it's selling for 3 times in a year, the taxes are going higher, which means the gutter's not going to get fixed. So this is why I am going to ask the board director to talk to his buddies and to start putting together a fundraiser for $100,000. And out of that $100,000, in my mind, now, I can only present it to the board director. He's got more experience. His buddy's got more experience. I'm sure somebody's got more experience. So they're going to have better and more functional ideas. But in my mind, I'm thinking if we capped it at $3,000 per... Oops, hold on. Let me clear this. Per subsidy. Okay? So we're going to divide that by 100,000, divide by 3,000. So, in other words... Oh, I'm just running with threes here. Hold on a minute. So, even if I had my son's camera, I wouldn't bring it out because you never know with me, right? I can have dirty gloves on. I wouldn't want to do that to his camera. I don't know what I did wrong, but all I got is a bunch of threes. So, if you have 100,000... I'm not supposed to... Okay. 100,000... divide by 3,000. I want to know how many people would qualify for a $3,000 subsidy out of 100,000. Well, it's more than 33 people. How does that work, people? What am I doing wrong? Here, let's go 3,000 times 33 people. 99,000. Well, that's not a lot of people. 33 people? Maybe 2,000? Maybe we need to raise more money. We need $300,000. Per subsidy is $2,000. $150 people. Okay. Anyway, so if we fundraise for $300,000 and we max out the subsidy at $2,000 per homeowner, okay, for repairs, minor repairs. If it's 150 people that qualify, assuming that I'm doing the math correctly, because I'm pretty tired, people, we can run it down the middle. We can have it where it's a 75 people in terms of they actually live in the home, like say the elderly, somebody old is living in the home and they need some porch repairs and, they need their fence fixed and they're on a, fixed income and the taxes are going higher and, everybody's scoping out the property. You're not, they're more concerned about who's going to get the property than they are concerned about the elderly person living in that property, right? Because if that elderly person should get sick, we know what's going to happen. They're just going to end up in the hospital, be detained, and their house will be foreclosed on under some forfeiture of seizure or something. Okay, because that's what's happening, people. Let's be realistic. Or the city will come and say, oh, well, look at this, and, and if you don't do something about it, we're going to start charging you, and blah, 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 and before you know, that old person is losing their home in that manner. Okay? So we give that old person $2,000 to have somebody come in and do the job, like, within the week, not within months, like an individual, like me by myself, stuck out here all by myself, having to do everything. If there was $2,000, right, there's quite a few things that could be done here with $2,000. And then if the landlord or the owner, in this case the owner, wanted to top off $2,000, that $2,000 now becomes $4,000. And then if the government, in terms of the government, wants to give them a tax credit on top of that, what's being paid into that subsidy. So we've got $2,000 from the foundation, $2,000 from the owner, in terms of the homeowner actually living in the home. Now, whether they can afford an extra $2,000 or their fixed income is very limited and they're just grateful to have that extra little bit of help and they can't put in the $2,000. But if they did, then I don't see why a proposal couldn't be put forward to the government to bring in a subsidy where there's a tax credit around that, which maybe, I don't know how much the tax credit would be, but maybe even the government might even fork in $2,000, so $2,000 turns into $4,000, turns into $6,000. You can get a lot of house repairs done, minor house repairs done for $6,000, people. So I'm going to write that out, and I'm going to give it to the board director. I'm going to ask for $300,000 fundraiser, but I want to include where a little bit of that money, I don't know how much money, but a little bit of that money goes into developing a program for these raccoons that are like throughout the whole province. Because starting at $300,000 is just the base, okay? It will need to be continued to be built upon. And if such a program was to exist, 150 households in the province of British Columbia, when there's 4.6 million people, you're going to need more than $300,000. And if the homeowner, whether they're like landlords in terms of my landlords capitalizing off that $2,000 that is given to them under, a donation of charity, right? For, in this case, we would consider it a subsidy, right? And they want to fork in $2,000, and through the right channels, right? The government either forks in $2,000 with a tax credit, and this is all to stimulate the economy, right? This is to offset hyperinflation, deflation, inflation, and just everything, right? Like, they're charging just to buy chicken legs, which reminds me I have chicken in my fridge, so I better throw it in the oven because it's sitting there for a couple days now. I keep forgetting about it. As if I can afford to be wasting money, right? Cat food. It puts people to work. It alleviates stress on the homeowner that's living in the house in terms of worrying about how things are going to get fixed. It alleviates the stress for renters such as myself if these minor things could get fixed in a very quick, timely manner. I don't have $10,000 or $6,000 or $3,000 any more than my landlords would probably have that kind of money to come in here and just boom, 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 bing, bang. But if you were to multiply that throughout the province, right, under the right funding strategy, a lot of people would be happy. Let's just put it that way. A lot of stress in that pressure cooker would be released. Right? And then we can get on with doing other things that need to be done. Right? But if he's willing to do this, because every time I see him, I say, this is what we got to do. This is what we got to do. You got to do this for me. Come on. You know, you're a smart man. You can figure it out. Right? So I will take I will find some time to type it out, put it on a flash drive, and I guess bug him, right? Bug him to, because we can fundraise at any time. All he has to do is say, okay, let's go. And he knows how to do this kind of stuff better than I do, people, because he worked for a nonprofit, right? He was a president, right? But the problem with that, though, is other people came in and they were just, it kind of became like a pissing contest, right, among just whoever. And they weren't thinking about whatever they were thinking about, and so it kind of went into dissolution, and that's why he's been kind of afraid to help me. And I'm like, don't worry, you don't worry about stuff like that, right? I don't think anyone's going to want to put this one into dissolution once it gets rolling, right? I mean, like, that's not the way it works, right? It's kind of a little hard to do that, right? Because we do have the trust accounts that are broken up into their own categories, which gives that trust account a little bit of protection, right, in terms of where money is going. And so, we're going to fundraise for some housing subsidy as a trial run, and just take a little bit of that money, whatever we get, and try and build in a program for these raccoons, a spade and neuter program, a tracking program, a housing and feeding program, right? And then after the 300,000, then we'll go for $1 million. So that's what I'm thinking about when I'm working out here. And what I'm doing is I'm making, as usual, more mess. I'll show you. Not much of a harvest when you're harvesting early, but that's okay. It's better to be harvest now than, is the camera gone funny? Camera's gone funny. Okay, so I think that's where we left off. I kind of got distracted. I managed to clear everything off there, but I'm over in this. I'll show you. Haven't done that yet. Look at my mess, people. What you gonna do with that? Well, I don't know. I need trim for my windows in the greenhouse. I have to secure the rafters in the greenhouse. This I keep because I want to put the pond in the front with, what do you call that? A bridge. And since I don't have the tools to make that, I'm just going to sand it down and shellac it at some point and put it out in the front. That's why I keep those around. And after I'm done making my bridge, whatever I don't want, that will be it. So this is what I'm doing anyway, you can see. Alright. Just clearing out. Went all in through here. I'm spraying things down as I'm going. Right. This is wood. This is metal stuff, so that when I want to teach Andre how to make those, I can't think of the stove right now. Just little experiments there, like just, there's a name for it, right? There's a stove that you can make for a fire pit, right? You can bake bread in it and stuff like that. Right now I'm just fixing this pallet, putting wood. You can see it's dropping in here, right? So I'm just fixing up this pallet, and then I'm going to take a piece of wood and just cover it right over top, and then put this stuff back, right? So I'm just getting rid of the miscellaneous junk. I'm keeping those, though, because I still might make some cement blocks. Obviously, I don't have time to be washing toys. This stuff here, well, I don't know. Make something with Andre maybe by the end of the year, right? Get it out of there. Gonna spray things down, sweeping it. Just whatever. And just, yeah, it's thinking about $300,000 and building in a program, right? Yeah, so you're thinking about this fundraiser. What trust account would we use? I'm thinking grants for growth, right? That makes sense, grants for growth, because that's what we want. We want to stimulate the economy, right? We want to get people working and feeling good about themselves. And, we want to do home improvement, and we want to help homeowners, not necessarily just elderly people, but just homeowners in general, whether they're landlords or whether they're living in the home, right? And I'm now. Then my next thing is, well, gee, is the Grants for Growth trust account even active? For all I know, it could have been, because I don't know the number, right? It could have went dormant, right? Because people don't believe that what I say can happen. That's the problem, people. When you have vision, people don't respond to that in the terms of like, I don't plan on living for too many years, right? I'm more concerned about what I'm leaving behind versus when I leave. So if I can leave millions or billions of dollars behind, why not? But try and get others to want to leave millions and billions behind. That's the hard part, because they don't see that they're capable of doing that as an individual. Because if you could start doing it on an individual level, then that macro starts to come together, right? And I think that this board director has the ability to bring in the macro. I do. And once we get to that macro, we're going to stay at that macro, because it will benefit people, and people will see that. This is not a government institution where, we're going to be bringing in the macro and then looking for cutbacks, right? We bring in the macro so that there is no cutbacks. If anything, the government adds on to the program, right? We reverse the trend. That's what we do. That's what we're going to do. We're going to reverse the trend of cutbacks. We want some of that money back, because the community is stepping up and showing the government that it's important that we have these subsidies, right? For all. You know how they say, like under the BC Liberal government, right? They catered to big business, right? That's how they got most of their money, was through big business. So when they did tax cuts, it was for people over $250,000 a year in income. So because of that, what happened was everybody started becoming, it didn't matter if you were a homeowner or a renter, you were all in the same pile. Everybody started to be nickel and dime to death to pay for those cutbacks on those taxes from $250,000 and up. How many people make $250,000 a year? Right? The medium income, I think, is like $45,000. That's the medium income. I wish I had more time to read the budgets and just get that nitty-gritty information, and have my charts and have the freedom to walk from one to the other, to really, just to kind of give you a better idea of how the nonprofit is supposed to assist and help, right? But for some reason, too many people see it as a threat, or they see it as just talk, right? Just talking, right? Like I put these proposals in for the nightclubs. I think I started in 2003. I was referred to the province. By the time I rewrote it and did everything I was supposed to do, it was like 2007, 2008. got the 50-50 approved, and it had a fundraiser that was going to bring in like $80,000 for a year over a course of weekends, just on the weekend, people, for a whole year. It had the potential to bring in over $80,000. That's what I presented to the city. And they denied it. But could you imagine if they would have approved it and it happened year after year after year? Where do you think those homeless people in that particular area would be in if it was receiving $100,000 a year to assist? Not to keep the status quo, but to assist the ones in need, right? The ones that really, like my daughter, who really need that assisted living. So, and we're not out of the woods yet. What I'm trying to say is easy as I make it sound, let's just put together a fundraiser for $300,000 and give it to 150 homeowners as a pilot project, and let's see what happens. Let's see who contributes equal dollar amounts in terms of the owner of that home, right? Because I'm pretty sure that if my landlords could get $2,000 donated to them, I'm pretty sure they would probably donate $2,000 back. So now you're looking at that $4,000. And once the government gets wind of that, right, that people are actually coming together to solve their own problems, they're going to feel left out and they're going to want to participate. They're going to do one or two things. They're either going to want to shut you down like the BC Liberal government and their cohorts, or now under the NDP, they might want to match you and make that 4,000 into 6,000. And then if you draw in the federal government, now you're rolling. You're on 8,000. Right? They don't like you thinking like that because it brings the micro together to that macro. But we're not starting a civil war. We're just trying to make living more enjoyable. We're trying to bring peace into our communities. We're trying to bring prosperity into our communities where it reaches out to all people, not just some. So, I don't even remember why I came back. I'm wasting time. I should be with the whip on my back. Mush, bitch, mush, bitch, mush. Like, seriously, doesn't it make more sense to have somebody that knows what they're doing with the right kind of material to do that once and then it's done? In addition to fixing that post with the leak. Right? Now this gutter up in here needs to be changed because what happens is, because it's starting to fall, when it rains, all the water just comes gushing. So I get it from two places. I get it from the corner right up in there, comes gushing over. Plus, it leaks down into the pipe, like not into the post, down into the garage and into the shed because of all this water gushing, right? Because this is, whoever made this porch, this porch cover, they didn't really do a very good job. And it's just a real pain in the ass. So, something like that, right? And because people, let me tell you something too. We have the advantage. We also have the advantage of receiving donations in terms of building material. Right? I was telling my board director, I says, look, sometimes I'm kind of like a little Lucky Charm. Like, if you notice in my videos, like, I have, like, 3,000 walnuts. And then bricks coming out of my yin-yang, right? Bricks over here and bricks over, like, in terms of, right? But the bricks I needed those bricks, people. And then all of a sudden, I got bricks, right? I mean, I'm not looking forward to working on those bricks in 1 week if that's all the city is going to give me is 1 week to work on them. But like I said in my previous videos, this year I want all this, I want the bricklaying done, right? I've added another patch just because it's so muddy over there when it rains in the wintertime that it's like, this last winter the window was broken, the washing machine was broken. So the kids, they couldn't come in through the back to do laundry upstairs. They had to go around the house through the mud as it's pouring rain. Well, just bad enough with the mud, right? To come in and do laundry because my landlords were away, right? They were not around. So they were in India, right? So they weren't here to fix the window, right? And get a wash machine. So if there would have been bricks there, it would have been better. And anytime, it doesn't have to be for that, just even next year when it rains. And now all of a sudden, for $5, I got enough bricks to finish what I want to do in the front, even nicer than what I had planned. Plus, I've got bricks to make some kind of a path, right? And obviously I want to fix the one up by the door there, because, you know, since Jerry put the door there, I have to kind of make more of a path. And I wanted to finish just this little area in here, and then after that, I'm done. But what I'm trying to say is, because we are, you know, a nonprofit, we are not a charity yet. You know, that's something he needs to work on, because I just don't have the ability to run a charity. This is where we need an accountant, because when you become charity status, things kind of change, right, in terms of your obligations to how you manage the money, right? So, but at this point, we can still receive donations in terms of building material, right? And you just don't know what you're going to get. That doesn't mean you have to take everything that everybody's offering you, because obviously some people are just going to try and get rid of their junk. But there are donations that come in that are very, very, very useful. And if you partnered up even with a company like, say, Home Depot, you don't know what kind of donation you're going to get in terms of pallets and that type of thing. If you're trying to make subfloors for a shed, pallets make the perfect subfloor for a shed. Let's face it. Right? You might even cut you some slack on when you buy the plywood to cover those pallets, if you really want to get professional about it. So I just want to mention that, right? You know, like I said, I've been working on this nonprofit for a long time. These are the things that I think about. These are the things that I've written into the Constitution. These are the things that I've written into just the proposals over the years. So this isn't really, for me, nothing new, right? I know it kind of sounds like off the hook and it's impossible to do. But again, I tend to believe in this board director that really hasn't had a chance to do anything yet. And until somebody really has a chance to be free, right, and to grow and to use their talents, right, you cannot judge them, and that's what happens with me. I get judged all the time, people, because I am expected to do the work of many, right, in a limited time period where, you know, I have negative forces that go against me, whether it's a leaky porch or whatever, right? And but through it all, you can see the creativity that comes from my effort. And just the idea that I can go to this board director and say, hey, here's a proposal. Go set up shop, right? Just all we have to do is just hook it up to a trust account. You put the call out, right? And we'll solidify it with the paperwork in terms of who qualifies and who doesn't. I would recommend homeowners that live in the home, 75, and then rental units, 75. That's 150 people. How we determine who those people are out of thousands? Well, you see, and this is another thing that stops progress, people. The thousands that will not qualify will be jealous of the 150 that got it. And then, of course, everybody will be screaming that somebody's running a scam. I can hear it now. But there's people out there that know how to run these things correctly. I don't know if we do it through raffle, because once you start raffling, you're looking at the gaming enforcement branch, right? You know, I mean, like, that's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to bring in a subsidy program with limited resources as a pilot project. So, you know, you can write us a letter and you can explain your need. And if it's a 72-year-old woman and a husband, you know, living in their little house somewhere in the province, we're not going to be, you know, it doesn't have to be in Surrey, it has to be for the province, right? And, you know, they're on limited income, and you know, and they've been in their home for 35, 40, 50 years, and they're just not ready to go yet, and they just really need this money to help fix this, and it would improve their quality of living, you know. Well, some people are going to get it and some people aren't. And that's just the reality of it. And we can't be jealous of the ones that do get it. Because if we let jealousy get in the way, it will never come to fruition. It will never, ever come to fruition. We have to let the first 150 have it so that we want more, okay? So that we work and we come together to gain more assets so that we can help more people. And toss those haters in the crowd to the side. Seriously, don't listen to them. If they don't want to participate, then move on. Okay, people. So, it's not like it's simply cleanup around here, you know? Like, you're always building something. Serious. If you're wondering why I put this pallet here, well, with these people with their drainage tile problems, and this thing leaking, what ends up happening in this corner is it just turns into a mud bath, like a pond. It actually turns. I've had video where this is like a pond, like you could go swimming almost in it, right? Like, serious people, like, you don't know. You don't know. So, that's what I'm using some of this miscellaneous wood for. But now, because I'm rushing, I'm not doing as well as I could be doing because I'm rushing, right? Because I don't got time to fuck around right now. So, I'm just trying to get it functional because when I'm done with it, I don't want to come back, right? I don't want to have to come back. Although I'm going to have to come back and saw something later, probably with a little handsaw, right? I'll show you in a minute. But for now, it was dropping underneath, so I just put a bunch of wood underneath there, like I would have an Andre shed, right? To hold the weight. So not only do I get something to put stuff on, I also cover up because I took a bunch of the old dirt as I was digging out the pond and stuff for the little one, right? That was just landfill. I brought it in here and threw in some weeds and to make compost, right? And filled up because it was just a big pond, muddy water, right? That's all it was. So it helps to control that problem, right? That was my solution, was to put on a pallet and then it became a little shelf, right? But the rain is so it eats everything so bad, right? Like the rain is poisonous, man. So corrosive that what do you call it? Destroys so much so fast. Even with paint on. Using crappy nails. Plus my eyes are bugging me. Can't see no more, people. It's amazing I don't injure myself out here. I'm not as surefoot as I used to be. I've been kind of like tripping over things more, right? But I have a pretty good sense of balance, so I think that's the only thing that saves me.
How are you doing?
I'm doing camera, hold on.
No.
Just wait. Yeah, another one's coming.
It's my turn.
Andre, the camera is hardly working.
Can I just use it? Look at that. He just went.
See, you can hardly see.
I guess. No.
Here we go. Mama and her 3 babies.
one this baby looking at us. Okay, now can I hold the camera?